Well, hello! Today we're going to go by a little bit of a different review setup, but this is my other desk. We're going to be taking a quick little look at Cybertron Legends Starscream. So here is Starscream in his robot mode. Of course, you know, the Cybertron design was a pretty beefy sort of look for Starscream. I just really like the way this looks. The proportions of the robot mode are just really good. I like these massive shins he's got, and yes, he's got nicely moving legs for a Legends figure. It's a shame the same can't be said about his arms because he's only got shoulders, but they move pretty good as well all over the show. And I just really like this design. I still really do. I think it's based on the old War Within Cybertronian Starscream, and it just comes across as just a really nice looking Cybertronian Starscream. You've got really nice sort of shiny red paint going on all over here, and that really does look good. It is a really deep, really nicely metallic red that I have not really seen used on any other figure, and that just looks really just lovely. You will see though that his Decepticon symbol is sort of rubbed off quite a bit on his chest there. From what I can remember, it didn't really take very long for that to happen back in 2005, and that was sort of a reason for me to not pick up this figure and play with it, because I was worried that the entire thing would just get completely scraped off, which is a shame because compared to all the other versions of this mould, this is still the best. You can simulate his cyber key power by flipping out these two weapons from his arms. So one is like, it's actually really nicely detailed null ray, and the other one is a nicely detailed sword, and that is just cool. That look of the arm mounted weapons like that just makes this figure even better, and then it's made even better by the fact that this really tiny and very nicely done head sculpt actually moves. If you can get your fingers in there, his head can turn. The joint is pretty stiff, but it's there, and it's a head swivel on a tiny 2-inch Legends figure. That's high end right there. Just before I transform, I'm going to bring in some of the repaints to let you have a look at. First off, you had Sunstorm, and this was in the Cybertron line as well, and he's a bit of an oddity because Sunstorm never featured in Cybertron cartoon. There was never another Cybertron figure of him. So to get the customary sort of last wave repaint of one of the first wave guys as Sunstorm was certainly a novelty, especially as, to my knowledge, this is the very first Sunstorm figure that was like a proper general retail release. You didn't have to go through some weird channel in Japan to get hold of one. So, you know, that's something noteworthy right there. This is the first proper Sunstorm figure. And following him in the 2008 Universe line, you have Thrust and Ramjet, who is really sort of upsetting the white balance on the camera. Yeah, another couple of nicely done bots. Yes, I'm keeping them with their fins up the back there up, so it makes them look slightly more like the cone heads that they should be. And then the final version, certainly which I own and I think is probably the very last one that we'll get from this mould because it's so old now. This is Dark of the Moon Starscream. Came from a Toys R Us 4-pack with 2 more Bumblebees and another Starscream. So technically I suppose it's sort of meant to be a movie Starscream, but I don't know. It does sort of work quite nicely just for a sort of normal, any old generation Cybertronian Starscream. It's all metallic silver and some quite nice fine gold detail on his legs down there. It's just a shame that, it's just a shame that now we're so far down the line of the use of this mould, you can really feel the mould degradation on this figure. One of his feet just doesn't want to go properly. It usually falls off when you try and transform it. Some of the joints feel a little bit weird, like that shoulder moves a lot more than this one, and yeah, it probably is time to put this mould to bed, but it's had a good run, shall we say. So now it's time to transform the Malvado Villano y Comandante de Vuelo de los Decepticons. You want to put the weapons back in if you've already got those out, and you want to come round to the back here and swivel up this tail fin section, which has got more nice detail. They've even sculpted in like the key jack piece. Then you want to swing his arms round the wrong way at the elbows, which looks painful, and they come to the backs of his arms up there. Then you can move the chest out, point his toes, swivel his legs in and round, bring the arms to meet with what were his knees, and you've got this sort of nice tetrajet. So yeah, here is Starscream's vehicle mode. It is pretty much just, you know, a big grey triangle. It's got some little stubby wings at the back. But, you know, this is pretty much what the bigger version looked like, right? It's quite nice. I do still quite like it. It is pretty thick and odd, and it's got arms sticking out the back, but it's got a nice little purple cockpit. You've even got a little bit of gold paint up in the tail fin there. It's just done nicely for what it is, and, you know, what it was back in the day, £3. It's definitely worth it.